Hello everyone, welcome to MeroSiksha. So today we are going to talk about articles. So articles. So now let us find out what do we mean by articles. So articles are simply a word that are used before nouns or noun equivalents and are a type of adjective as well. So these articles we use, it's a kind of a word that can be used before either nouns or anything equivalent to a noun, and they are also regarded as a kind of adjective. So talking about the adjective, we have two different adjectives. So that's a first one is definite one and the next one is indefinite article. And we recognize the as a definite article, and it is always used before the noun to indicate that the identity of the noun is known to the reader. So we use definite article the whenever the listener is known about the idea what the speaker is talking about. So we're talking about the indefinite article, that is either a or an. We use this indefinite article again before the noun, but here we talk about, or whenever we are talking about the general idea and something that the listener is unknown about, we use the article or and. So the idea is to understand it very simple way. We use definite article the whenever we are indicating something familiar to the speaker as well as the listener. So we use indefinite article or an while we talk about something that is unfamiliar to the other person to whom we are talking with. And in order to indicate the general idea, we use this indefinite article. For example, I have a fever and I feel dizzy. So we are using article the in front of the fever. So we are talking about a general idea over here. So moving on. So talking about a definite article again, we use the either before a singular or a plural noun. So we can use the either before the singular noun or the plural noun, and we use indefinite article or before a singular noun that begins with the consonant sound, and we use and before a singular noun that beginning with a vowel sound. So or is used before the consonant one and the n is used before the vowel sound. So now let's talk about the count nouns and the uncount nouns as well. So count nouns, you can recognize this as the countable noun. So this talking about the countable nouns, whether it's a singular or plural, we use the articles before them as well. So the thing is, we also use articles whenever we are talking about any of the countable items. And these uncountable nouns, this refers to the items that are not counted and are always singular. So we also use articles before the uncountable nouns, and the thing is, this uncountable noun remains singular always. Now let us understand this with the chart as well. So we have the rules over here, and then when are we supposed to keep the articles? So whenever we are talking about the countable nouns and the uncountable nouns both. So first of all, rule number 1, specific identity not known. If we are unaware about what we are talking about, or we can't be specific, then we will be using either the article or and before the countable nouns. And in the same context, we won't be using any of the articles before the uncountable nouns. So moving on to the rule number 2, if we are known about the identity, if we are talking about something familiar to the listener as well as the speaker, then we will be using article the in both the contexts, whether it's a countable noun or the uncountable noun. So moving on, so if we are talking about or indicating to all things or things in general, we won't be using articles whether it's before the countable noun or before the uncountable noun. Now let us find these ideas in detailed form now. So talking about this, rule number 1, specific identity not known. So we are supposed to use indefinite article, that's or an, only with the singular noun. So we use either or or an only before the singular noun, singular noun also. But what sort of noun we'll be using? We'll be using countable noun, that is count noun as well, whose identity is unknown to the reader or the listener. So we use these nouns before we use this article before nouns, and also something that begins with the consonant sound, and we use an before the noun that begins with a vowel sound. So o is used before the nouns that begins with the consonant, and n is used before the noun that begins with the vowel sound. For example, you have a lovely house over here. So this article is used being based on the sound this the word lovely generates. And also we are using, as we are talking about a precedent, we are not talking about who the precedent is, we are just talking about the general idea over here. We're talking about a precedent, just a general idea. So we are using article the over here, and then a president is elected every 5 years in Nepal. So as we are not specific, we are using the article over here in order to indicate this idea. So moving on to the next thing, that is rule number 2. That is, rule number 2 talks about a specific identity known. So if the speaker or the listener, if both the speaker and listener or the readers are familiar about whatever we are talking about, we'll be using definite article the with any of the nouns, whether it's singular or plural, or even it's countable or uncountable. But the idea is either the speaker or the listener or the reader must be familiar to the ideas that they are talking about. So we'll be indicating it with definite article the if you are specific, if you are talking about a specific identity. So it also used before plural nouns and to indicate the superlative degree of comparison. We also use the before the plural nouns, and also we use this in order to indicate the superlative degree of the comparison. So whenever we are using the superlative form, then we will be using definite article the before that particular word as well. So we use the article the when an adjective, phrase or clause is describing the noun that clarifies. So we also use the with the adjective and the phrase or the clause that is describing the noun in a sentence. Okay, for example, here this is the biggest fish I have ever caught in my life. So in this sentence, this the biggest is the superlative form, so we are using the article the, and in the same way this, because of the use of this biggest, it is describing the fish, so we are using definite article the over here. So moving on, rule number 3. So all things or things in general. So we are not supposed to use any of the articles with either the plural count nouns or any uncount noun if we are indicating to the everything all, or we are talking about the general idea. So we commonly use nouns there when there is general reference, and when they are used with preposition there is normally no article. So if we are indicating to a general idea, then we are providing general reference, and also whenever we are talking about that particular general reference using the preposition, then normally we don't use any of the articles before. So there's a no article phase. So for example, what did you have for breakfast this morning? We are not going to use any of the article before this because we already have a preposition. So in the case of the appearance of the preposition, whenever we are talking about the general idea, whenever we are talking about the general reference, then we won't be using the article over here again. Similarly, so when are we supposed to use the? We also use the not only whenever we are talking about something familiar, not only before the superlative form of degree, not only in other cases, but we use the before the name of the rivers, holy books, newspapers, stations, and the magazine as well. So we say the Mechi river because we are being specific over here. So if we are just talking about a river, we'll just be saying a river. But as we are being specific, saying Mechi, Mahakali, Bagmati, we will be using article the. So it is also used before the name of the countries that have the words like United Kingdom and Republic. If the countries have these particular words in these particular words in their name, then we'll be using the article the. For example, we say the United Kingdom, you say the United States of America, or we say the Irish Republic. So the thing is, if we have these words like United Kingdom and Republic in the name of the countries, then we'll be using the article the. Similarly, when are we not supposed to use the? We don't use the whenever we are talking about the language. We don't say the Nepali. We just this is a no article phase. We just say Nepali. We don't say the Japanese. We just say Japanese. We don't say that the Ram is studying the Japanese language. We don't use the. We just say Ram is studying Japanese language. So now we won't use the also before any of the location. We don't say I live in the Kirtipur. We say I live in Kirtipur, or we say C lives in Kirtipur, or C lives in Swambhu. So we are not supposed to use the before the name of the locations as well. So I guess by this we'll be able to crack the articles. Thank you.